Here. Today we're going to be doing Unit 3, Note 7. So we are going to be talking about multiplying binomials. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at what this is going to look like. So first of all, there's two methods that you can use when multiplying binomials. The first is what we call the FOIL method. So FOIL method, you're going to multiply first, outside, inside, and last terms. Okay, that's where the FOIL is spelled out. And that'll make more sense once we get to looking at it. I do want you to write this down just so that you have the steps when you need them. So then what you're going to do is you're going to combine the like terms. So x terms get added with x terms, squared terms get added with squared terms, constants get added with constants, and so forth. Okay? And then you want it in standard form, which means your exponents go in descending order. Now the second method is the box method. Now the box method is what students typically use the most. What we're going to do is we're actually going to set up somewhat of a Punnett square, if you've ever done that in science. So it looks like this, and what you're going to do is you're going to line your terms up on either side of that box. Okay, and then what you're going to do is you're going to multiply into the box. And then same thing, combine like terms, make sure it's in standard form so that the number or the exponents go in descending order. So then let's take a look, trying and simplifying this with FOIL. So the first thing we're going to do is multiply the first terms. So we're going to take x times x, which is x squared. Then you're going to multiply the outside terms. So I'm going to take x times a negative 4, which is a negative 4x. Then I'm going to multiply the inside terms, which is a negative 1 times x, so that's a negative 1x, or we can also just write that as a negative x. Then multiply the last terms, which is negative 1 times negative 4. Now that's going to be a positive 4. So now I'm going to write out all of those terms. Okay, step number 5 is to combine like terms. So I need to combine my like terms. Now when I add negative 4 with the negative 1, that's going to get more negative to give me negative 5x. So I have x squared minus 5x plus 4 for that one. Okay, next what I'm going to do is do the box method. So let's take a look at the box method. So the first thing you're going to do is draw your box. Then you're going to line up each of the binomials on the side of the box with like terms. So we have x and 2, x and 5, like so. And now we're going to multiply into the box. I'm going to take x times x, which gives me x squared. Then I'm going to take 5 times x, which is going to give me 5x. So notice how I'm multiplying into the box. I'm taking this column, this row, and multiplying them together. So x times 2 is 2x. Lastly, this column is 5, this row is 2, 5 times 2 is 10. So let's go ahead and write out our terms. So we have x squared plus 5x plus 2x plus 10. Okay, so now what we need to do is combine those like terms. So I need to add the 5x and the 2x. Now remember, we can't add it with the x squared because they have different exponents. So 5x plus 2x is 7x, and then we have plus 10. So this is our final answer in standard form. So from here on out, you can use whatever method you choose. I like to use the box method, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to multiply out the box. So I have x plus 1 and 2x plus 1. So 2x times x, so I'm multiplying this row by this column, and x times x is always going to give me x squared. So that's going to become 2x squared. Then I'm taking 2x times 1, which is 2x. Then I'm taking 1 times x, which is x. And then I'm taking 1 times 1, which is 1. So now that I have all of those terms in the box, I can go ahead and write out all of my like terms. So I have 2x squared. That isn't going to be combined with anything. And then here I have 2x plus 2x. Well, remember that in front of this x there's a 1. So that's really 2x plus 1x. Now that's going to be 3x when you add those together, and then you can add the 1. So that right there is your final answer for number 4. Now let's take a look at number 5. So I'm going to go ahead and set up my box. Now whenever you have minus signs, you want to, when you write it above the box, make sure you take the minus sign with it. So notice when I wrote the x minus 3, I basically wrote it as -1. And when I wrote the x minus 3, I basically wrote it as -3. So then I'm going to take x times x, which is x squared, x times -1, which is -1x, -3 times x, which is -3x, and then -3 times -1, that's going to multiply to a positive when you multiply two negatives. So going and writing out our terms, we have x squared minus x minus 3x plus 3. So now what I want to do is combine these middle two terms. So -1x minus 3x is -4x. And then we're going to add 3. So that right there is my final answer for number 4. Now let's take a look at this next part, okay? So here's something, students do this all the time, okay? When you are multiplying a binomial squared would be something like this, okay? You can't just simply square both terms and call this x squared minus 9. It doesn't work that way because it's really equal to x minus 3 times x minus 3. Okay, so what we need to do now is we need to make sure that we actually square it. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's do that. So we have x plus 6. What I'm going to do is I am going to simplify this out. So x times x is x squared, and 6 times x is 6x. So then when I multiply the next one, I'm going to have 6 times x, and 6 times 6 is going to give me 36, okay? So now I want to write out each of those terms. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So when I do that, I'm going to have x squared and then 6x plus 6x. You can combine them right there if you want. Otherwise, if you still need to write all the terms out, that's something else that you can do as well. It doesn't actually matter, okay? And then now we need to make sure we add those like terms. 6x plus 6x is 12x, and then you get 36. Next, taking a look at number 6. Again, this is the same as x minus 2 times x minus 2. So you absolutely have to multiply this out using the box method. So let's take a look at what the box method looks like. So I have x minus 2 and x minus 2. So I'm going to go ahead and distribute that in. X times x is x squared. -2 times x is -2x. Put that negative sign in there. -2 times x is -2x, and -2 times -2 is positive 4. So then when I write out all of these terms, it's going to look like this. And then I need to combine my middle two terms. So x squared and then -2x minus 2x is -4x. And then I'm going to go ahead and add 4. So this is your final answer for number 6. Now let's take a look at multiplying more than binomials. Okay, so if you're multiplying more than just two binomials, meaning you have more than just 2 by 2 times 2 by 2, the FOIL method is not going to work. So you actually have to use the box method on all of these. So let's take a look at how you're going to set that box method up. So taking a look at number 7, we have 4x plus 9 times 2x squared minus 5x plus 3. So what we're going to do is use the box method, but we're actually, instead of creating a 2 by 2 box, going to make a 2 by 3 box. So I'm going to have 4x plus 9 going down this way, and then 2x squared minus 5x plus 3 going across. So it's going to be the same process. I'm just going to have a larger box. So 4 times 2 is 8. X to the first times x squared. Remember that there's that 1 there, so when you add your exponents, you actually get x to the third. 4 times -5 is -20. X times x is x squared. 4 times 3 is 12, and then you get x. 9 times 2 is 18, and then you get x squared. 9 times -5 is going to give you a -45, and that's going to give you x. And then 9 times 3 is going to give you 27, okay? So if you notice, going diagonally are your like terms. So that makes it easier to simplify. Well, 8x cubed isn't going to have anything to multiply with. So that's going to stay 8x cubed on the outside. Then we have negative 20x squared plus 18x squared. Well, negative 20 plus 18 is going to give me negative 2. And when I add those two together, it's going to stay x squared. I'm not going to add the exponents. 12x minus 45x. So now again, we're just going to add the coefficients. So 12 minus 45 is going to give us a negative 33, and then we're just going to keep that as x. Lastly, we have our constant, which is 27. So what I would like you guys to do is go ahead and try number 8 on your own. If you're struggling to do it, go ahead and bring the note sheet on up to me so we can do it together. Okay, so let's take a look at number 9. So for you guys, you have a little 5 on the outside there. So what you want to do with that 5, first and foremost, is distribute it into everything. And you're only distributing it into everything in one of the two parentheses. You do not have to distribute it into all of the parentheses, just one. So I'm going to distribute it into the first one. So the first one is going to become 5y squared minus 10y plus 25. Now that is being multiplied by 6y squared minus 3y. Oops, I lost a lot there. So that's going to be times 6y squared minus 3y plus 1. So notice, again, I just distributed that 5 into one of the two parentheses. So now you're going to have a box that's going to be 3 by 3 because that's how many terms you have. So it doesn't matter which one you write going down and which one you write going across the top, as long as you keep each expression together. So I'm going to do 6y squared minus 3y plus 1. And now we're ready to multiply into the box. So first I'm going to take 5 times 6, which is 30. Y squared times y squared is y to the 4th. 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. Y squared times y to the 1st is y cubed. 5y squared times 1 is simply 5y squared. Next, negative 10y times 6y squared is negative 60y cubed. Negative 10 times negative 3 is negative 30. Add our y's, and that's going to be y squared. Negative 10y times 1 is negative 10y. So then 25 times 6 is going to give me 150y squared. 25 times negative 3 is going to give me a negative 75, and that's going to have a y. And 25 times 1 is just going to be 25. So now I need to add up all those terms. Again, notice going diagonally are my like terms. If you set up the box in standard form, that will always work out for you. So we have 30y to the 4th, and then we're going to take negative 15 minus 60. So that's really like adding the two of those together since they're both negative. So that's going to give me a negative 75, and then it's going to be y to the 3rd. Again, you're not adding those exponents together. Next, you're going to take 5 plus 30 plus 150. Adding all of those coefficients, you get 185. And again, that's just going to be y squared. You're not going to add the exponents. Then you're taking negative 10y minus 25y, which again is going to be like, negative 75y. Negative 10y minus 75y, which is going to be like adding them. So you're going to get a negative 85y. And then lastly, you have your constant of 25. So after all of that, here is your final answer. I'm going to have you guys try number 10 on your own. I will be checking the note sheet for this section to make sure that you did it. In order for me to accept your practice, you do need to show me that 8 and 10 are complete. So if you skipped over them thinking I wouldn't notice, go back and do it because I'm going to check. Let's do the word problem together though. So the area of a triangle is 1/2 the product of its base times height. So you guys just kind of as area is equal to 1/2 base times height. So it's wanting us to write a polynomial expression that represents the area of a triangle. So you have the area is equal to 1/2 times the base times the height. So again, when you have a number out in front, you're going to distribute it into just one of the two parentheses, not both. So 1/2 x times 2, 1/2 times 2x is really the same as 2x divided by 2. So that's just going to be x. And then I'm going to get 3/2. So I have a fraction I'm going to have to work around. But I know you guys are smart people, so we shall prevail. So what we're going to do now is do the box method. Or you could use FOIL at this point. This is one that FOIL works. So then 3 and -1. So I'm going to take 3x. So I'm going to take 3x and multiply it by x, and that's going to give us 3x squared. Then I'm going to take 3 and multiply it by 3/2. Well, when I do that fraction, I'm just going to multiply it by the numerator. So 3 times 3 is 9. So this is going to become 9/2 x. And I am a-okay with you leaving that as a proper fraction. -1 times x is -1x. -1 times 3/2 is a -3/2. So now writing out these terms, you're going to get this. Now, when I write -1x, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write that as -2/2x, because in a second, that's going to help me combine my terms. Because since they both have 2 on the bottom, now I can add those numerators, because I need to combine my x terms. So since they have the same denominator, the same bottom, now I can add 9 plus 2, which is 11/2. It's subtracting, so 9 minus 2 is 7/2x minus 3/2. So that right there is your final answer for the expression of the triangle. And that concludes your note video for today. Please make sure 8 and 10 are done. Thanks for listening.